I was just like any other kid, and people seem to sort of make me a half god playing Football Manager and making it to a real Football Manager. But it's like saying, oh, well, I played Call of Duty, so tell you what, I'm going to go to war and do that. It's like not quite the same, or I'm aware, and I think, people around me are aware of how much work and how many years of, watching football, talking about football, coaching, going to university, going to, various different things to make it as a Football Manager. It wasn't just the sort of fast forward from, tapping my spacebar in Football Manager to making it onto the bench in Ligue 1. Ever since I was sort of 5 or 6 and I saw my brother Ed, playing football in the garden and playing football with his mates at a club, it was like, I want to try that. I want to play football. Quite enjoy that. So, set out, played with him, with, footballers that were 2 years above me and much bigger than me and whatever.
And this is in Belgium where you grew up?
This is back in Belgium where we grew up. And we were always different because we were the English family living in Belgium, obviously got bright ginger hair, which doesn't help. And so we were always different, but we were always going to be different because of what we look like, what we sound like and all the rest. And anyway, so I played football, wasn't the best at school, 17, 18, I was finishing normal school in Belgium, playing at a decent level in Belgian football, and finishing school, it was like, right, what's next? What am I doing? Where am I going? I went into university studies doing physio, hated it, useless, total waste of time, should never have done it.
And what was the conversation with your parents like when you
difficult, really difficult. And the conversation with my dad, my parents had split up by then. I had a conversation with my dad, and it was like, right, Dad, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? And he was like, well, what do you want to do? So, well, what I really want to do is play football, but I'm not quite sure I can make a living out of playing football because I was decent, but I wasn't that good. And he was like, well, let's do it. Let's see what you can do in football. And then found Myerscough College up in Preston here in England, which was a foundation degree in football coaching. But it also allowed me to play football for the college and train in the morning and then have lessons about pretty much everything to do with the footballing world in the afternoon. Visited the college in March, got a place on the course, and then sort of went from there.
So what was the difference between that course in terms of your interest levels and how it ignited you with that course compared to the physio one?
It was football. And all I wanted to do was talk about football. All I wanted to do was either train, like myself on the pitch, or watch football, talk about football, see football. I'd sort of said to myself towards the end of, however many no's, okay, it doesn't matter, I'll pick the water bottles up, I'll put the cones out on the pitch, I'll wash the socks, I'll do whatever, as long as I'm with footballers and working in that environment. And got lucky. You need a bit of luck. Got incredibly lucky. I actually went back to the club that I'd played for as a kid, who were then in second division, and a door opened, or half opened, and I managed to put my foot in it. Went to a training session at STVV and went up to the coach and said, right mate, I'm Will, I've done this and this, could I be of any help to you in the next sort of couple of weeks, couple of months? Is it something you takes interest or that could help? And he was like, yeah, can you film a game? Yeah, I think I can film a game. You cut video? Yeah, do that. Right, well, our first opposition in the league is playing tomorrow in the middle of nowhere in Belgium. Go film the game, cut it up, make a presentation, do whatever you want, and come back to me in a few days. And this was on the Tuesday. The team were playing on the Wednesday, and went back up on the Friday to present, whatever I'd sort of seen and filmed. And it went from there. He was like, right, this is brilliant. Do the next one. And I was like, okay, but what about contract, or what about, I didn't want anything, but in Belgium you have to be employed, or you have to be unemployed and get money from the state. I didn't really want any money. Money just didn't interest me at all at that stage. And he was like, yeah, I'll ask the club. So I stayed on. I was full time. Went every day into the office. Went to trainings, film trainings, and really got that sort of job going. And the club wouldn't give me a contract because there was basically no money, and it wasn't an option. So I was like, okay, whatever. I was still living at my mum's house. Had got a car, crappy little car, but I got one, and that was enough.
And what was your mum saying to you though? Because as an adult, I can imagine if that was my child, I'd be like, well, hang on, you've got a worth here, and you'd be pushing that you need to get some kind of recompense.
This is where I think I owe my parents a lot, is that they could see I was happy. And for me being happy, that was enough. And they could see that, there was something that was brewing and something that was in preparation. And they were patient enough to say, okay, you can live here, no rent, no whatever. Just make sure that you're doing your best and it's going to lead to something. And I was lucky enough that it did.
Here's the truth. Your body is like an engine, and you need to keep it at its best day in, day out. I mean, think of it this way. You wouldn't fuel a racing car on cheap fuel, so why are you doing similar to your body? I take Heights Vitals. I take them every single day. They stop me feeling run down, sluggish. I used to have brain fog, not anymore. 2 small capsules. These act as my premium grade fuel. I'm keeping with the racing metaphor. So Vitals are a blend of vitamins, nutrients, minerals, omega-3, all the Bs, basically everything you need to perform at your best. So if you're looking for something that keeps you in the driving seat with your nutrition, your brain and body health, then this is it. Taken by athletes, Olympians, and even some well-known racing drivers. This stuff works. So if you're looking to fuel right this year, go to heights.com/Jake. Or enter the code HP20 at checkout for 20% off your first order and start your journey today.
What were you like that day? The day that you were told you're now going to manage this team?
It was like overnight. We played on the Wednesday night away. The club decided to fire the coach straight after the game. On the bus home, it was like, right, Will, as from tomorrow, you're coach. And you sort of sat there and thinking, hang on. There's another assistant there who's 52. There's one there sat next to me who's 56, who's got 52 caps for Belgium. Why the hell am I being... What? Why? And the president at that time, Egyptian owner, said, yeah, whatever, don't care about them, you're doing it. It's like, no, President, please, just try and understand me. This is like weird. There are better people for this job.
Yeah.
And he just said, yeah, I don't care about other people. I like you. You got good ideas. You do it. So, okay, President, I'll do it for the next game. I'll prepare the game on the weekend, on the Sunday. And, we'll talk about it after. Yeah, okay, whatever. Hang up. Right. Shit, now what? Turned around to the other assistants and said, right, the president wants me to do it.
Had he communicated to them or
no, not at all.
All to you, right?
Not at all. So, I turned around and the first thing I did was, are you all right with this? Are you okay with it? I've no idea what I'm doing, by the way. But are you okay with it? Yeah, whatever, let's go for it. And I could, don't think I could ever thank them enough for saying yes. And
because that whatever's doing a lot of heavy lifting there, isn't it? They might be saying whatever because the pragmatism of I've still got a job, but there might be hidden resentments.
For sure, but I had no idea.
Yeah, so how do you deal with that ambiguity?
By being as honest as I could myself. I was a baby, I was a kid. I was 24, and again, I remember the next day we had recovery training, so everyone was in the gym. And I took no one out onto the pitch because normally the players that didn't play, go out on the pitch. But it was like, no, forget the pitch. We're in here. And got everyone together. It was like, right, if I'm going to be honest, we're really, really, really shit. We were bottom of the league back then.
Did you say that to them?
Yeah. But it was so obvious that it was like there was an elephant in the room. It was like, right, we're shit. And it's not criticism because we've all been shit. I'm not, aiming my criticism or my shitness at someone in particular. We all together have been utter rubbish. And I think we all know that. And the players sat there and sort of thought, yeah, yeah, we've not been very good. And it was like, right, so, I haven't got a magic wand. I haven't got the answer right here, right now. What are we going to do? And the captain, Fred France, he's called, Fred stood up and said, well, I'll tell you what, Will, we can't do any worse than we've been doing, so we might as well just, try and enjoy it. They'd missed promotion the year before for, 1 point, and they were then bottom of the league. It was like, we haven't turned into a bad team,
And how much
overnight.
of the squad was the same?
90%, 95%. We haven't turned into a bad squad overnight, so, right, take fingers out our arse. Let's have a go.
If you could go back to one moment of your life, what would it be and why?
Winning the title with STVV, so the very first club I worked for, at the end of that season where I had nothing. Because that was proof to myself that it was possible. And I remember standing on the podium in front of all the supporters in the club that I'd played for as a kid. It was like, what is this? I'm part of a club that I've just won the league with. I think I've contributed a bit to what the team did. And, through all the not getting paid and not being, whatever, I've won a league. I've won this title and I've helped these people, lift the trophy and be the best team in the league. And the fact of it being, that club at that particular point in my life was it's the best feeling in the world. And it comes back to winning. You win something, that feeling is just like, wow.